Okay, I'll go ahead and do the webinar, and then also I wanted to mention I did download a okay. All right, how about now? Looks like I might have lost you, Alex. I'm just going to keep going. Hopefully it does what it's supposed to. And if it's all messed up, then we will just re-record it at a later date. Oh, that's what I was saying before I got sidetracked. I downloaded Welcome back to our V-squared quick bytes. Today we're going to be going over some customizations to Windows, how to change the appearance and some other uh, tips and tricks to make Windows a little easier to work with. And this over here is a sneak peek of what we'll be talking about on Thursday, which is some advanced customization and some more fun things. But we'll start with looking at the desktop here. We're just going to minimize these. Here. And we're going to look at our settings here. These are when you right click on your desktop, you'll have a bunch of different things in here. We're right now concerned with these view and your display settings and your personalize. Now these view, sort, and refresh are for your icons. And you can choose the size of your icons. And you can choose if they automatically all line up or if you can move them around to different places. You can choose how you sort them, whether you do it by name or some other feature. And then refresh. You said you just refresh your icons. The other neat thing underneath our view settings here is you can toggle on and off whether you show anything on your desktop. So if you did that, everything disappears. And you can always bring them back by going back to view and back to show desktop. So check on and off to show your desktop icons. Now, if you do turn off your desktop icons, you can still get to all of your desktop content by opening up the Windows Explorer and look under your Quick Access and choose Desktop. And this is all the files and folders, program links that you have on your desktop itself. It just shows them in the file view. So it's perfectly fine to have everything disabled here and only access it through your Windows Explorer, our yellow file folder. It's just a matter of personal preference, however many icons or things you want to see. If it's overwhelming with clutter, or if you like having everything easily viewable. Next, we have our taskbar, which consists of our start menu, search bar, Cortana that literally nobody uses, and this task view is a new, relatively new Windows setting, and it'll show you kind of a history of what you've been in lately, different programs, different websites. Just another shortcut to get back into things. Particularly helpful if you've restarted your computer and you're trying to get back to what you were working on. And you can just toggle that on and off by clicking on it. In the middle of the taskbar, you have your icons, and you could pin pretty much any open program or app or file to the taskbar by just right-clicking on it and choose pin or unpin. In the newest versions of Windows 10, it also has additional context menus that come up. So when you right-click that file, you don't just have close or open, but like for Chrome, you can do a new window, a new incognito window, most recent sites accessed, things like that. And for if you have Microsoft Office programs, they'll have similar features as far as quick links and recently accessed files. Down here, you have your task tray icons. You can click that caret to show even more. And there's some options here that you might want to adjust. This task tray, say for example, I don't need to always see my battery indicator. So I'm going to right click anywhere in the taskbar, just kind of find a spot that's not taken up by an icon directly. Right click and go to your taskbar settings. And then you have in your notification area, which is one of the ways they now refer to this. Traditionally, it's your task tray. You can choose which icons appear. There's my power. I turn that off, and now I don't have that icon. So you can do that with as many as you want. They'll still show up when you hit that caret. They're just not down there by default. It gives you a little more space for other icons. And I'm going to turn those back on because I do want to see those. Date and time. You can adjust your date and time settings. It's important to note that this, as long as your time zone is set, this time should always be accurate. If it's not, you definitely want to reach out to us so we can check your hardware. The date being off can indicate a serious problem that we need to check into. And additionally, having the time off, it can affect programs functioning properly, particularly when you're in a domain environment where you connect to a server. Your last icon down here is the notification center, the actual notification center. And in here you have links to some quick links, change your brightness, things like that. And somewhere there's a option to adjust. There we go. So by default, you can expand and collapse it. If you right click in this area, you can choose which icons that you have and add and remove them and rearrange them so that when you collapse it, you only see the ones that you particularly want to see. So just a quick way to add some customization and make it a little more usable. There. The next area that we can customize that I want to talk about is our start menu. We have our list of applications, which should be familiar from previous versions of Windows, but we also have these tiles, which are just larger shortcuts for the most part, and some of them can display some limited information. Now these you can drag and drop in any order, and you can drag them into sections and give the sections another name. You can also click in there, click the X, and it'll completely delete the name. You can also drag tiles on top of each other. It's a little finicky, but if you drag them just right, you can put them into a folder, or you can pull it back out of the folder. A common one is to have your Microsoft apps in a folder. Typically, I will pin web browsers and any particular tools or fun apps that I want. If you right click on these, you have your option to unpin them, remove them from this start menu. Unpinning does not delete it. You can still get to it from your apps list. You can change the tile size. And that's just preference for how you want to adjust them. Whatever's usable and functional to you. Under the More options, you get the ability to pin to your taskbar. So it's another quick way to pin apps down here. And some additional settings. And then you have an option to uninstall. Not all of these will have the ability to uninstall. Sometimes it'll just wind up opening your settings and the main add and remove programs. Some of them do. So it's a kind of a shortcut to uninstall apps as well. The last thing we wanted to look at, two things we want to look at today before we wrap up, is our display settings. Here you have your options to change the brightness of your display. Turn night light on and off. That night light adjusts the blue tint and brightness. You can scale your font, which means you can make it larger or smaller by percentages. Your display resolution, and if you have multiple displays connected, you'll have the ability to drag and reorder them. If you have multiple displays attached, you will see them right up at the top, and you'll see squares that represent the different monitors. The last one we want to look at is the personalize. So this is where you start to get a bit fancier with how Windows looks and functions. The easiest way to do that is with themes. Windows generally has one or two themes by default. Usually just comes with a one or two background pictures or a background slideshow. The best, safest way to get themes is in the Microsoft Store. You just click that link. It'll take you right to the themes page, and there are a ton of very nice free themes to choose from. All you have to do is click one, click get, and then you're going to click install. They're relatively small files, so they don't hurt anything. And then you can click apply. And it'll apply the theme. So now we have our lovely cat photo, and it's also changed some of our other settings here. Themes basically change multiple settings at once. But you can also change them individually. You can choose to set a slideshow, and for that you would just choose the folder that contains the images that you want to use in your slideshow. How often you want to change the picture. I recommend not any less than 10 minutes. 30 minutes is a good duration to have. Now you can choose your colors. You have the ability to toggle between a light and dark mode, just like you might have tried on your cell phone or in Chrome. There, adjusts the colors to dark tones. And you can choose your accent colors. Accent colors are what appear in things like your title bar, your taskbar, your start menu background, things like that. You can set a color, or you can tell it to automatically pick one, an accent color. So that will look at your background image and grab a complementary color. Don't know why. And it'll automatically pick a color from your background. Lock screen is what will come up when you lock the computer as compared to signing out or powering down. To lock your computer, you just hit Windows key plus L. And you can customize this with what shows on here, or you can come down to screensaver and apply one of the more traditional Windows screensaver effects. Lastly, you have your system fonts. I don't recommend getting too carried away with adding third-party fonts. Windows comes with quite a few installed by default, and it can be tricky to get the right permissions to use the fonts. Some fonts are only licensed for personal use, and if you happen to use them, say, for a business flyer or a brochure, something like that, um, there's potential legal ramifications. So stay with your default built-in fonts. If you do have specific use cases where you need or want to use a different font, just reach out to us so we can help make sure that it's licensed properly. Those are our basic Windows customization tips. And in our next meeting, we're going to talk about some advanced third-party tools. And yeah, that's all for today's webinar. And we will see you in the next one.